Let's move on to the latest events. Congressman Alfredo Gaspar announced as Flávio Bolsonaro's running mate. Alfredo Gaspar allocates 6 million reais in PIX amendments to the municipality of Alagoas, called São José da Laje, 6 million reais PIX amendments. The Federal Court of Accounts goes, conducts an audit, and says there's something fishy going on. These words, the one who's obviously using them is me. But in the popular reading of what was in that report, without traceability, without the possibility of effectively checking what had been done with public funds, it's clear that the lack of oversight leads to this situation and this circumstance. The congressman, who is now a candidate for vice president with Flávio Bolsonaro, comes out publicly and says, I have nothing to do with this. I just made the amendment recommendation. 6 million reais in PIX amendment. That was the response from the vice presidential candidate on Flávio Bolsonaro's ticket. I'm not the one responsible for oversight. That's up to the oversight bodies. I have nothing to do with this. The city hall is the one that has to be accountable. And now I'm bringing forward an allegation that many of you still don't know about. The congressman can't say he had nothing to do with this. A complaint reached my office and I went to check it out. And that allegation checks out. She was appointed to the office of the vice presidential candidate, the vice mayor of the city of São José da Laje, before becoming vice mayor. And then you might say, no, but even so, he had nothing to do with this. The vice mayor left, and who took her place? Her husband, her partner. He was in Congressman Alfredo Gaspar's office, appointed as the vice presidential candidate on Flávio Bolsonaro's ticket. How can he say he has nothing to do with this? That this is the city hall's responsibility? If the people responsible for spending that money on the ground in the municipality were there until very recently, some of them, even until the year 2026, were appointed in his office. Look, this citizen won't be able to remain a viable candidate for anything because he can't say that the responsibility isn't his. Because his fingerprints are all over this 6 million real PIX amendment for this municipality of 20,000 inhabitants in this city. With coordination and influence also from the former president of the chamber, Mr. Lira. That's news to absolutely no one. And is that just going to be left like that? If that wasn't enough, when is the ethics committee going to look into the complaint I made in this chamber that Mrs. Mariangela Fialek, known as the operative behind the secret budget, continues to carry out her activities in the office of the Vice President of the Chamber of Deputies? When is the Chamber of Deputies going to use its oversight bodies? Not to persecute those who rebel against corruption, but to hold accountable those who practice corruption. Ms. Mariangela Fialek got caught. Her cell phone was seized. And on her cell phone, there are her conversations with a very well-known figure in Brazilian history, who 10 years ago was there in that president's chair conducting the session with the first stage of the coup, with the impeachment of former President Dilma Rousseff. I'm talking about Eduardo Cunha. Eduardo Cunha is not serving as a federal deputy. He became ineligible for a period of 10 years. He tried to orchestrate my removal from office in this chamber. Several deputies came to tell me, I got a call from Eduardo Cunha asking to strip you of your seat. I got a call from Arthur Lira asking to strip you of your seat. Why does my presence here bother you so much? Could it be because even without being a federal deputy, Mr. Eduardo Cunha steered budget earmarks and funds to several municipalities in Minas Gerais illegally, exactly because he was running for federal deputy in Minas? And just look, I'm not going to use adjectives, but I'll use the labels others have used. The one who was chosen candidate for governor of Minas Gerais. Do you know who it is? Mr. Cleitinho from Republicanos. His party is Republicanos. He was the one who spoke about Eduardo Cunha, who is from the same party, Republicanos. There are criminals roaming around here in Minas Gerais. It's Eduardo Cunha. We can't accept that this criminal returns to public life in Minas Gerais. Are they going to want to complain about me? Complain about Mr. Cleitinho, who was the candidate for governor chosen by Mr. Eduardo Cunha's party in Minas Gerais. His public statements are out there. I don't need to label anyone. I'm only using the quotes and adjectives that were used by his party colleague. If that wasn't enough, then Mr. Valdemar da Costa Neto comes in, and every time he schedules an interview, I imagine it's because he wants to, Congressman Hollenberg, to incriminate himself. He goes to the interview, Congressman Chico Alencar, and says, no, there was no problem at all. The congressman had no one to direct the earmark to, so I was the one who directed it. This is normal. There's no problem with that. He's incriminating himself. But he wants to normalize something that can't be normalized. When will the Chamber of Deputies, through its oversight and conduct evaluation bodies, carry out any kind of assessment regarding the deputies who made this arrangement with Eduardo Cunha and Valdemar da Costa Neto? When is that going to happen? When will the Chamber of Deputies look into what happened in Alagoas, more specifically in the municipality of Rio Largo, laid bare for all of Brazil to see? Operation Beco da Pecunia, Congressman Daniel. A car in an alley passes money to another car. That car then delivers the money to City Hall. The person who receives the money is Gigi Gilberto Gonçalves, an ally of the former president of the chamber, Arthur Lira, removed from office for embezzling money from the secret budget. He has already been arrested 4 times for various acts related to corruption. And then I'm the one who has to be punished for saying this. The one who has to be punished is Congresswoman Erica Hilton in retaliation for defending herself from the attacks that were made against her. The ones who have to be penalized are the PSOL caucus for telling the truth in this chamber. Ladies and gentlemen, in the first speech I made upon returning to the Chamber of Deputies after 6 months of suspension, a deputy came up to me and said, "Glaber, now stop. Because here votes like yours are only 3%. I don't know where he got that number from, but he said 3%. The rest of the deputies depend on the funds." And my answer to him was, I am fulfilling my duty and I will continue to do so. I can do this without using adjectives as I did here today, but I will not self-censor. I will not stop doing my job as a legislator out of fear of the consequences of possible political persecution. The council without ethics, Congressman Chico Alencar, apart from a few appalling exceptions, which you are obviously one of, it cannot be used as an instrument of persecution against political enemies or as a shield for allies. For those who are connected to the structure of the so-called secret budget, it has to end. The National Congress, to capture a quarter of the public budget, approximately 60 billion, taking away the investment capacity for projects that are fundamental for Brazil, is not coherent. It is not reasonable. Brazilian society is on our side against this racket. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if I can't help but say this.